my name is Jaehee Jung, and this is Katherine Lum, including the in-between. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, progressive reform addressed conflicts such as immigration and nativism. The Immigration Act of 1924 and the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 promoted anti-Asian prejudice, such as the segregation of public schools. Although the Lum versus Rice case was a failed challenge that strengthened the hold of segregation, its legacy would remain as a brave success that included Asian voices in America's fight against segregation. Hello, my name is Katherine Lum. My husband Gong Lum and I recently moved here to Rosedale County with our 3 children, Martha, Berta, and Hamilton. Martha and Berta attend Rosedale Consolidated High School. You know, the best one in the county. And I'm not just saying that because it's the only one in the county, but with the new principal J.H. Nutt, the school's actually been ranked one of the top in Mississippi. Although I have been hearing some rumors about him. Something about a new policy that bans the attendance of Chinese students. But I doubt the school board would actually implement such a policy. Anyways, your total is going to be... Excuse me. Martha? Berta, what are you doing home so early? It's only 12:30. Martha, what happened?
The new principal called us in during lunch. He told us that we aren't allowed at Rosedale anymore because we're Chinese. But I want to go to school, Mama. I want to go to school.
Katherine was infuriated. She was unwilling to subject to such discrimination against her family and her people. With her husband, Katherine searched for lawyers who would advocate for them in court, but their low financial status only slammed more doors in their faces. The Lum family turned towards other Chinese families whose children were also expelled from the school to raise funds. However, the response they received was not the one they were expecting. Hello?
Katherine, what's this I'm hearing about you taking the school to court?
Well,
Stop and think for a moment. Rosedale is a rich, prospering school. You're impoverished, working day and night just to make enough money to survive. You have a family and business to take care of. Don't waste your time debating when you know you're going to fail.
this isn't just about my family. This is a fight for all of our families. Don't you understand? It starts with the schools. Then they'll start debating, trying to fit us in as white or black. They'll start debating about where we belong without even listening to our voices. It's up to us to include ourselves in that debate. My children want to go to school. They want to learn. What kind of mother would I be if I can't provide the best of what my children deserve? With the small amount of money the Lums were able to collect, they hired former Mississippi Governor Earl Brewer, who took the case to district court. But before the case was even heard, the Rosedale School District filed a demurrer, objecting to the validity of the case. However, the demurrer was overruled, and the judge ruled in favor of Martha, ordering the Rosedale Consolidated High School to accept her as a student. Katherine could not believe what she had heard. After constant reminders of failure, she was able to succeed. Martha was going to attend Rosedale. However, the success would be short-lived, as the Rosedale School Board was unwilling to accept such a verdict. Sir, what parents aren't going to appreciate their children learning side by side with the Chinese? Sooner or later, our students are going to be pulled out of our classrooms and admitted to segregated white schools. Look, we either lose a couple of Chinese or a majority of our white students. I think it's obvious which is the better option.
Well, like all of us are in agreement, we'll file an appeal.
So the case was taken to the Mississippi State Supreme Court. The issue on the table: do the Chinese classify as colored, and does that justify excluding them from white schools? The Rosedale School District centered their argument around Section 207 of Mississippi State Constitution, which stated that separate schools shall be maintained for children of the white and the colored races. Martha Lum is obviously not a white child, therefore has to be identified as colored. I also want to mention the Plessy versus Ferguson case and its separate but equal doctrine, which states that separation of the two races is completely constitutional. Martha Lum has every right to be denied attendance at Rosedale.
Burt refuted against this with,
State versus Treadaway. Louisiana Supreme Court states that the term colored, specifically in the United States, refers to belonging wholly or partly to the African race. Martha Lum is not of the African race, therefore cannot be identified as colored. I also want to mention that Martha was born just the same as most of y'all. Here, in the state of Mississippi, she is a hard-working, studious citizen of the United States who only wants to be allowed an opportunity to learn. The 14th Amendment of our Constitution states that no state shall make or enforce any law that might abridge the rights and privileges of citizens of the United States. Martha Lum is being denied her right to an education simply due to the color of her skin.
After much consideration, the court came to a decision.
If the plaintiff desires, she may attend a colored public school of her district. If she does not desire, she may attend a private school. But the plaintiff is not entitled to attend a white public school. With this decision, the only school in Rosedale County rejected Martha Lum, officially becoming a segregated school for white children. Katherine managed to take the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. However, the day before the case was to be argued, Earl Brewer ceded his right to argue the case. Not only had he failed the Lum family, but he abandoned tens of thousands of Asian Americans whose futures were to be decided by this case. The verdict gave states full constitutional power to segregate public schools and assign students to any race they saw fit. And so the case was settled as a failure. We moved to Arkansas as soon as possible. I didn't want to linger in a state that gave pain to my family and my people. Although not much was better in Arkansas. Even though we were able to send Martha to Arkansas State University, we couldn't afford her tuition. She dropped out to help us at our grocery store. You don't understand how my heart shattered every day as I worked, watching her shelf boxes when I knew she wanted to be so much more. I heard most others left like we did. Some to Memphis, Houston, or even back to China. Those who stayed created private Chinese schools, which only reinforced the segregated system we fought against. But it was the only way to survive. Our case, Lum v. Rice, was used as a weapon to validate discrimination in future cases. A Supreme Court case that had the potential to overcome segregation in public schools was turned into one of the most powerful weapons to defend it. Lum v. Rice ended as a failure, and I'm the one to blame. But what Katherine would not live to see was that the Lum v. Rice case's bravery to challenge segregation inspired many others to do so. Similar cases such as Wright v. Board, Mendes v. Westminster, and Webb v. School District followed to challenge systemic racism. Despite failure after failure, the people's persistence was eventually rewarded with success. 27 years after the Lum v. Rice case was closed, a new case emerged to claim the unfinished legacy of the Lum family. The Brown v. Ward case of 1954 proved separate but equal to be invalid in public education, officially desegregating American public schools. Now, teachers all across the United States are able to welcome students named Kira Gao,
Here,
Hiro Hamada,
here,
Jaehee Jung, here.